Medical device, Matt. I'm going to talk about not the specific interview process where you know you're meeting with HR, the hiring manager, and they're making a decision over the 4 weeks. I want to talk about a really common situation in medical device where you're an awesome applicant trying to break in, but there's not a current role available, or there is a current role, but they're looking for a very specific person. For example, they're looking for someone with a lot of experience to stabilize the team and lead the clinical component. But it may be in the future they'll be growing and they're going to need young talent. So first, before I go down this path, I do want to say if you do see clinical specialist roles posted as senior or principal, which usually requires many years of experience, and if you have no experience in that particular field, but you do have a really strong resume in sales or clinical, still apply because a lot of times companies will post at the highest level, which secures HR and headcount and the funding, a higher salary for the more experienced person. But if they find an awesome candidate with less experience, perhaps they could bring them in at a lower associate or regular level, opposed to if they're looking for an associate and that's a role posted, it's a lot more difficult to hire at a higher level. So let's talk about how this could possibly happen. Role post, you apply, the hiring team really likes you, and they communicate to you. They say, hey, fantastic candidate, we want to stay in touch, we want you on the bench. What does that mean? They're being respectful and telling you that this current role is not best for you, but they want to stay in contact. And that's frustrating. You're like, well, I want a job now. And it doesn't really work that way. I have a lot of people messaging me saying, hey, can you help me get a job in Atlanta? Can you refer me? I don't pay attention to the job boards. I don't know really where Atlanta is on a map. That's a joke. But if you did your own work and you came to me and said, hey, Matt, I saw this really amazing role. My background's this. I think it fits. What are your thoughts? I would be more than happy to help. But in this case, you are a prospective applicant with a really strong background, perhaps in bioengineering. You worked and volunteered in the hospital, so you have that physician interaction, and you know how to sell your story. I don't want to talk about specifically how to prepare for these interviews, and there's a lot of great resources for that. But I want to talk about how do you manage the relationship over the next few 6 months until the next possible opening. That's not guaranteed that it's yours, but you do have a better shot of obtaining it if they're looking for a less experienced person. So my biggest thing is when you apply an interview for the first role that you might not be qualified for, always follow up and be professional. It's a small chance you get the role because they communicate they're looking for experience, but be professional because that's what's going to be what they remember, right? So follow up on email or phone every time you interview with a HR agent, hiring manager, or someone on the team. Within 24 hours, follow up. That shows professionalism. And I have heard of managers disqualifying someone for not following up. And then Medtronic and the big strategics move really slow. So someone says, there's going to be a role posted next quarter, 3 months away. 3 months go by and that role's not posted. That's very common because Medtronic is a massive Titanic ship that takes forever to move. So it could be 3 to 6 to 9 to 12 months, or headcount or business needs could change. So maybe it's earlier or maybe it's later. Things change a lot in medical device. People leave, there's competitive hires, personal life change, business grows, territory split. There's always things changing. So stay patient. And I would say once a month I would follow up on email. And I'm talking about my experience. I was looking at breaking into pacing and I had no medical device experience. So it was a little unusual 10 years ago for someone with no experience to break in. A little bit different now because you see a lot of undergrads breaking into EP and pacing and the other medical device divisions. But my goal was to stay present. I didn't want to hound the person every week. And I've heard of other people calling the hiring manager every day to check in. And that's not my style. That sounds really annoying and a waste of time. But what I wanted to do every 2 to 4 weeks was shoot an update via phone call or email showing what I'm doing to prepare for this role and how I'm going to do really well once a role opens and you choose me. So first I would say, the first month, I watched a lot of Medtronic Academy about pacemaker concepts. And it's helped me understand better what this role does. And it really excites me the impact we're having on patients, not only in the procedure room, but also in the clinics. I watched a video about how I have a video on it, how we support patients in the clinic. Really cool. And I want to be a part of that. What that does is it reminds the manager that I'm still alive, that I'm still actively interested in this role, and it wasn't a fluke. I wasn't just, oh, I'll apply and move on. That I'm doing the work to get this role. People forget about you. So that email reminds them. And maybe they say, great. Maybe they don't respond, but they got the email. A month goes by. Perhaps I say, I watched a second video, I've been learning this or that. Just checking in. Is there anyone on your team I could shadow for the day or meet? I just want to stay in contact. And if the hiring manager is generally interested in you as a candidate and they want you on the bench, they'll be, hey, yeah, why don't you meet with Matt Abrams? He's up in Ventura. Give him a buzz. See if you can connect for coffee or lunch or just on the phone. So you say, great. So we're at month 2. So the next couple of weeks, you reach out to Matt Abrams and you say, Matt, I'm trying to break into medical advice. I heard you're it's a little bit weird talking about myself, I guess, in this context. But I say, hey, listen, Matt, I want to hear your story. I heard you've done really well, 10 years in the industry. Got time to connect for a phone call? I live out here. If you're ever in the area, or I could come up to you, we could grab lunch or a coffee. What that does is it gives you more information to understand the role better, and you get to meet someone. All of a sudden, I say, hey, I met this guy. He's or she is super cool, really knowledgeable, really polite. I like spending time with them. And that is probably the biggest thing, because I want to work with people that I like spending time with. Merit and skill and knowledge is very important, but as a team and as you build a team, you need people that are going to fit the culture. So, month 3, you connect with someone on the team. What do you do for month 4? I have no clue. Maybe you connect with someone else on the team. Maybe you connect with someone that was in a similar position to you. So you reach out to the manager and say, I had a fantastic conversation with Matt. I really want to connect with someone that kind of has my similar background. Is there anyone or anything you recommend from an educational perspective or someone I could connect with that came out? And then they say, no, I can't think of anyone. Okay. Well, thank you for your answer. Another month goes by. You somehow demonstrate the knowledge you're learning. You convey that to the manager. Hey, hiring manager, we talked 5 months ago. You mentioned that there might be a role coming. Super interested. Do you have any update? They respond, it's looking like the next quarter, 2 to 3 months. You're frustrated. You're like, oh, this sounded like such a fun opportunity, something that could change my life. A new job won't change your life, but it is a really awesome job. So you keep staying in touch. Find ways that you can communicate that you're still interested, that you're alive, and that you really want this role. Try to meet with more and more people on the team to create a huge support system for you for when the role opens. And it's going to do a couple of things. I hear something on the inside that's private. I could share that with you, perhaps saying, hey, I heard there's some changes. Someone's leaving. It sounds like they're going to hire an associate role. Be prepared the next 2 to 4 weeks, right? Or maybe there's a role that's opening, and I know that they're not going to hire a less experienced person because they need to bring someone in to cover a really specific key account. I'll say, hey, listen, I would apply, but it is going to be someone more experienced. So build support from the team. Stay in contact with the manager during this process. And there's no instant gratification with these jobs. I can't conjure a job for you, and you won't get hired in a week or two. The interview process, if you're in the big time mix for the interview, that could be a 2 to 4 week process with the big companies. And if you're on the bench, that could be anywhere for 3 to 12 months. These roles are amazing and it's worth it, but you're probably looking at me like, dude, you are crazy. Who's going to sit around for a job? So my biggest recommendation is keep building yourself and growing and see what opportunities come. See how you could grow in your current career or future opportunities, and keep medical devices there. And if you're really passionate about it, it will work out. And I remember looking back at my experience, I was very fortunate. I graduated from university and I was able to go back home for a few months to spend time with my parents. And during that time I was working, I was making ADA signs. That is signs with Braille, and I was able to shadow quite a bit the pacemaking team in Inland Empire. I met with a ton of people, and things are different now with COVID and a lot of credentialing, meaning a lot of hospitals won't allow you in unless you're a Medtronic or physician employee with all your health records. But 10 years ago, it was a lot easier to shadow and meet people, and I did that for a good 3 to 6 months, and eventually I got hired into the device regional specialist role and was able to have 10 years at Medtronic of really exciting times making an impact on patient. So if you're on the bench, keep your head up, keep letting people know you're interested, stay in contact, and good things come to those who prepare and are lucky. So this week's medical device episode is about being on the bench, staying prepared, and it comes from sports, right? You're on the bench. You're the sixth, seventh, eighth man, sixth, seventh, eighth woman in a basketball game. You have worked hard in practice. You're ready for the opportunity, but you're not getting game time. And one day they say, Matt, we're ready for you to go win. And you got to be ready. You got to be ready to execute. You got to be ready to take the shot after no warm up. You got to be ready to hit down, right? So that's that. Stay tuned. Subscribe. Any questions, send them to me because I would love to do more episodes and answer the questions you have. This is Medical Device Matt. We're signing out. Stay tuned.